You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV Network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good game, Johnson.
From the AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California, and streaming live on Ustream. This is AFTERBUZZ TV for Glee. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest Glee news and gossip. If you'd like to buzz in on tonight's show, you can buzz us at 424-256-1729. That's 424-256-1729. And now, picking up where the show leaves off and the buzz continues, it's AFTERBUZZ TV for Glee!
Hey, Brett. Hello, fellow Gleeks. I'm Roxy Striar, along with magnificent host Billy Nilles.
Yes.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
And Mia Smith.
Hello.
Hello, and in the booth we have the fabulous DJ Jesse Janity.
What up?
Who picked this incredible song to play. Oh my God. Did you know this was my favorite, Jess?
I actually did.
Oh, you just love me so much, don't you?
I do.
Okay, so we actually got a couple good songs this episode too, maybe.
Yeah.
Overall, what are we thinking about the music selections? We had 5 different songs this episode, but the first one didn't play until 17 minutes in.
Right.
And then the last 3 were very close together.
Yeah.
So what do we think about them? Just to remind everybody, we started off with the it's not always being
Easy being
green,
green.
easy being green, which Kermit the Frog, I have to say, kind of has a monopoly on that
Yeah.
song, and
Yes.
I wanted it to stick to him. What do you guys think about that?
I think it was cute the way it was used.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'll always be partial to Kermit, but
Me too.
It was clever.
It
I
was
think
clever.
It was a clever song choice that I enjoyed, but nothing beats Kermit.
I totally agree. And so just starting there for a little bit, talking about the person who sang the song. So we have a new character on the show right now.
Yeah.
And I can't speak much about it because I didn't watch the Glee
I didn't either.
project. Every time I want to say the Glee Club, the Glee project. It was a project about Glee.
Right.
And he's a winner.
Yeah.
So I know you did watch, Billy, so
I
you
did
want to speak a
watch.
little bit about that?
Well, what was so interesting about him, Damien McGinty, who played Rory, winning, was that throughout the entire season of the Glee Project and Oxygen, Damien was consistently in the bottom. He was always up for elimination every week. And the way that the Glee Project was sort of structured was Ryan Murphy didn't ever see anybody's performances until they were in the bottom, and that's when he saw them. So Ryan continually kept saving this kid, even though every other judge always put him in the bottom. Like nobody else liked him, but Ryan always kept pulling him back and pulling him back and pulling him back, and eventually gave him the grand prize.
What was it about him that Ryan kept saying, like, no, I want this kid to keep going?
What was weird was it was sort of like never really explained. Ryan more sort of defended why he was getting rid of somebody else.
Oh.
They never really explained why he was keeping him. He always just found a reason to get rid of the person who he kicked off that week in place of Damien.
Got it. So it wasn't like he was like, this kid is the best and I
Yeah.
need him to stay.
So
it was just
it
like
was-
there's always somebody a little worse.
Yeah, I guess it was always really bizarre, and you would think if somebody's consistently failing that they're not that great. So it was very
Yeah.
weird to then see him be one of the grand prize winners. Of course, 4 people won on the Glee Project, which we've seen 2 of them already, with the inclusion of Damien.
But we know we're going to keep seeing him for what
right,
you
for
said.
7. He won 7 episodes, so this is one of 7.
That's a lot for somebody I'm not feeling so great about right now. I'll be honest, I think that the songs they chose for him are very easy songs to sing.
Agreed.
So I can't tell what kind of a singer he is yet.
Right, and
there's not a lot of range.
On the reality show, he always sort of stuck to because he's obviously from Ireland, and he was sort of like an Irish folk singer. He was a part of something called Celtic Thunder, which is like a touring production throughout Europe that he was a part of before he came onto the Glee Project. He was their youngest member in the Celtic Thunder, and they sing a lot of like Lord of the Dance style music.
Okay.
And so that was his background, and he would always sing sort of like 1950s like doo-wop music. Like, he never really sang anything very current, and I think his voice doesn't lend itself so much to current music, which I think we saw. They didn't give him anything current in this episode either.
Yeah, nothing current, nothing with much of a risk.
Yeah.
No, not at all. It was very soft. I mean, he seemed okay. He didn't excite me. I thought his first song choice was cute because it was very fitting with the whole leprechaun Irish thing that was going on. But I don't know, I felt some sort of way that the first song of the episode was by the new kid, and that it wasn't an attention grabber type song or something that really hit home.
I totally see what you're saying. Before we talk about the rest of the songs that were sung, let's kind of stick with this Rory, whose name until 5 minutes ago I believed was Roy because it said with such a thick accent, and about the situation surrounding him. So regardless of his voice, what do we think about the character, this kid who's from Ireland, that everybody from school thinks he's from Mexico. Because clearly they're ignorant or something.
Yes.
And him being a leprechaun in Brittany's mind.
Right.
I thought it was super cute. Yeah, it was nice. It was, it was another part of Brittany's fantasy world, and I was in it with her.
I just love her the most.
Right?
Every time I see her, it doesn't bother me anymore. Sometimes at the very, very beginning, first season, I was like, oh, her one-liners are cute, but this girl, there's no way she's that dumb. I don't think of her as dumb anymore. I just think she's awesome.
Right, well, because I think that they've sort of rounded her, and now you see, like, when she gets confronted by people who kind of call her stupid, she sticks up for herself, and she's kind of like, I'm not dumb. Like, this is just how I see things, and
This is just my world.
Right,
Yeah.
and you respect that more than just, oh, this chick is, like, really stupid, which is how we thought in season 1 when all she got was one-liners.
Right, so we see that she gets 3 wishes from this leprechaun. The first is to get a bunch of marshmallows, and only marshmallows in a Lucky Charm box. My whole life, like, why don't they do that? Why is that not an option of
children's
cereal?
teeth will fall out of their heads.
I don't care. I don't care.
I wanted it.
Fine, make it 18 plus to buy a Lucky Charms box of just marshmallows. Who likes the cereal part?
Wait, question. Were you that kid? Because I was that kid who would painfully eat through all of the cereal
Yes.
just so
First,
I
just
could
so I can have
have
a bowl of marshmallows. And you sit there, and I wonder, why am I eating this? Why don't I just throw it away? Like, I'm stuffed, and my stomach hurts. I don't want any of the cereal, but I need to get to the marshmallows. And before I can get to the marshmallows, all the cereal has to get gone. Why? Why do we think like that? That's the way
sugar.
I used to be that way with Skittles, too. All the green ones had to go first. I hated the green ones, but I'd eat them anyway.
That's a little...
It's completely ridiculous.
M&M's for me, I had to save the blue ones for last, always.
Really?
Had to be the blue ones.
Because you like them the best?
They were, yes. And to me, they taste different. I don't know, something about the blue ones.
So why don't we only eat the blue ones? Why don't we only eat the marshmallows? What is it? I don't know. Humans are weird. But anyway, so she knows what she wants. She's a girl who knows what she wants. This is her first wish. He grants it because he thinks if he grants 2 more, he's going to get to her pot of gold.
Right.
So then he goes on to grant the second wish, which is Lord Tubbington pooping
Candy.
I looked down for a second here, and all of a sudden I looked up, and you guys were laughing. I'm like, what's going on? She feeds him nuggets, and
She said she feeds him, like, nougat and caramel, and then rubs his belly with glitter sticks. But it's not working yet.
But it's not working.
No, it's not working.
The best part about this was after the leprechaun finally made him poop the candy bar, that she
Ate it.
And shared it.
She ate
there
it.
You go.
She ate it and didn't think twice about it. Okay, what was going on in her mind here? Like, what?
It was a candy bar. It wasn't poop.
To her, it was actually just a passage, a way to pass a candy bar, as if it was like a shelf. That was ridiculous. And then we find out that, well, first of all, I was the whole time thinking, you know what? Her pot of gold is not going to be what we think her pot of gold
Right,
is.
I was thinking he was actually going to give him, like, some
pot
toy
of gold.
or something.
Yes.
Like,
Why didn't we get to that point?
I was kind of bummed.
I was kind of bummed, too. Why did they string us along
pay
so
off that
long?
joke.
Why didn't they do that? Why did they make Santana interrupt with her wish, and we never got to see what the pot of gold was?
Yeah, I wanted the payoff to that joke.
I really did, because you never know with Brittany. It's always
What she meant.
Yeah, she's
I
so
just want to
unpredictable.
know what she thinks.
What
the
she
pot of
thinks.
gold.
And we think there's no way that meant sex.
Of course
There's
not.
no way
No.
the pot of gold was her vagina.
No.
but this leprechaun was assuming it was.
Right.
And it kind of, they dropped the ball. Like, I don't understand why they even included it in the episode. Just as a motivation for him to be doing stuff for her?
I guess so.
Well, yeah,
but
he talked about when he was explaining it to Finn that he was still a virgin and he wanted. So I guess that was to sort of explain why he would be so motivated to do this weird thing for this silly girl who's obviously insane.
Yeah, but at the time, Finn had to know, because when the boy's explaining it, he's like, she said she's going to give me her pot of gold. Finn had to know, you're talking to Brittany. She doesn't know what the hell you mean.
Yeah.
She's not picking up on this sexual innuendo here. She's thinking she's going to hand you gold coins, like Hanukkah gelt or something. Like, I was so looking forward to that.
I wanted to see it. The Glee writers, I don't know. I think
I feel like they forgot.
Yeah,
they blatantly just forgot. That was bizarre. Did she get? She didn't make it to a third wish though.
She didn't make the third wish because Santana made a wish.
Right.
No, her third wish didn't come true. He said it was something about
to make everyone happy with her leaving the club. That's correct. Yeah.
Right. Yes. And not everybody was happy. She felt like everybody was heartbroken.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which was very sad. So how about Santana during this? The only thing I could keep thinking about was, damn, that girl loves Brittany.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So what do we think about their relationship right now, and that they finally in this episode say, listen, we're dating?
Yeah.
I loved it.
It was sweet, and it was also, I mean, that scene in Breadsticks was also a little sad when she's like, I want you to hold my hand, and then she was so uncomfortable and self-conscious and wanted it to be under the napkin, and it's like for every step that Santana makes in accepting herself, there's so many more steps she has to take, which I think is nice to see in comparison to like Kurt and Blaine, who were just so easily able to come out and were fine. It's nice to see this girl who's so confident in every other aspect of her life really struggle with something.
Is that because it's harder for a girl, or is that why is it because of her specifically, or why is she struggling so much?
I think it probably has to do, I mean, I'm presuming it's more like her specifically, and she has this status of the hot girl in a conservative town who's not supposed to be gay, and she comes from a Hispanic background where that's always more heavily frowned upon than some others. So I think that it's specific to that character, and I think that's what's interesting is the dichotomy of this overly confident, because in every other aspect she's so brazen and she's so like take charge, but she can't right here. She's stuck.
You know, I think it's all of that, and the fact that she witnesses what Kurt went through, what he goes through too. You know, on top of just her own personal struggles. Like, it's not easy to just come out at a very young age too. So it's all of that.
I think that it's really hard to be the first person to come out, but it's almost harder to be the second, because you see what the first person goes through, and then you have to willingly put yourself in that place. Like, the first person probably has high hopes, you know. It's incredibly difficult, I'm sure. It must be almost impossible. But somewhere in your mind you're thinking, well, maybe it won't be that bad. But the second person to come out sees everything.
Yes.
And
the good and the bad. And
especially because she was part of that whole anti-bullying movement and sees all the bad stuff that's happening. So I do feel really bad for her, but it was so interesting to me the way that she dealt with the leprechaun situation, and I feel like she's grown so much as a person, and instead of just kind of yelling at him or whatever, she's like, listen, I'm not going to tell Brittany that you're not a leprechaun because I'm not going to hurt Brittany. And I thought that was so sweet, like as opposed to in the past when she just is always thinking about herself and how to advance her own personal life. She really was thinking about somebody else here. And
but she's always loved Brittany.
Yeah,
Brittany's been the one person that she's looked out for since Glee started.
Yeah, and that she won't leave the club without Brittany.
Yeah,
and we predicted that the last time we were here.
Yeah, we did talk about that we didn't think she'd go unless Brittany would go with her, and we thought Brittany wouldn't go.
Right, but since Santana wished for it on the leprechaun.
And Finn messed that up.
I was going to say, so then we see that Finn calls Brittany stupid. And that kind of was the final straw for Brittany in changing groups. So do we think that if he hadn't done that, she would have changed?
No, she's too loyal.
Even though the leprechaun granted the wish?
I think that... I think that if Finn had approached it differently and explaining to her that leprechauns don't exist in a way that didn't make her feel stupid, then she might have stayed and been like, okay, if she realized it wasn't real in a way that didn't put her down, but the fact that he put her down,
it should have been like a poster board. Leprechauns don't exist,
Yeah.
but you know what does? Family, and
Yeah.
like all this bright colors, and
but
she would
because
totally.
he was so nasty to her, I think that's what pushed her away even more than the leprechaun thing.
People have to start to realize that the way to get through to Brittany is to enter Brittany's world.
Yes.
And that's what I think Santana's finally starting to understand. I will be with Brittany by living in Brittany's world and protecting her world because it's everything about her that I love.
Right.
Which is awesome. Do we feel like Brittany's as into Santana? Oh, silence. Ooh. Rough day for Santana.
I think that Brittany does love Santana. I think that love is a totally different thing for Brittany, though.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
don't think that it means what Santana's love means. So I don't know that it's the same thing, but I don't think that Brittany would ever hurt Santana. And I think that when she says she's with her,
Intentionally.
right? And I think when she says she's with her, that she's with her. And I don't think that she would ever do anything to like break Santana's heart.
At the same time, though, we kind of saw that she was, not that she was hooking up with Rory, but she was kissing him on the cheek, and you think that was totally innocent?
I think
Yeah,
so.
it
Okay.
was.
She thought he was a leper. She thought he was just gonna,
Leprechaun.
yeah.
And then she was the only one that could see him.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
But
awesome.
but when that whole dating thing came up, she was like, you know, I told you if we're both single, then we'll mingle. It was kind of, it wasn't like I want to be with you, but because of circumstance, I'll be with you
because
kind of thing.
I think that
yeah.
I mean, in last season when it was initially brought up that Santana was in love with her, she was with Artie, but Brittany is such a good person that she's like, I'm not gonna leave Artie, even though I love you too, but I'm with him and I love him and I can't break his heart just because now you've realized you love me. And so I think that was what she was explaining this week, was that I told you back then that if the time came when we were both single, we'd be together, and now we are. So now I'm with you because
Yeah.
I'm not gonna hurt anybody else to be with you.
Where is Artie?
That's what I was wondering, was how did that fall apart? I don't remember Artie.
I don't remember it either.
Oh
and
my God,
Brittany
I literally
breaking
just
up.
choked on that. I was just
I
gonna say,
think, did
I
he
don't-
insult her or
I
something?
don't know what happened. They completely left us in the dark. Like, what? All of a sudden, there are all these relationships. I mean, with Mercedes not being with.
He called her stupid.
He called her stupid, but then they were back together and he apologized.
I don't think they ever got back together, did they?
We need some fans to tweet
Right.
at us telling us
Call
to
in
go
if
back
you're
or call,
listening,
or
and you
call in.
remember, call us 424-256-1729.
It happens to me on shows sometimes. 1729. Sorry, I was cutting you off. It happens to me on shows sometimes. So I'll say something, and I'm like, "Did that happen?" And then later on, I'll get a tweet being like, "No," or an email. "No, that didn't happen. Here's what happened." I'm like, "Why didn't you call in? Make me look stupid on air. I don't
Right.
care, but like, correct me now." And then I
Yeah.
come in next week. I'm like, "Sorry, like, we're fans. We are fans of the show, and yes, we try to be experts as much as we can. But I go back and rewatch these episodes a million times, but it's still confusing. There's so many characters.
Well,
So
and I
many-
mean, we've just had almost a month-long break.
Yeah.
Like, it's,
Well,
These hiatuses
speaking
kill me.
of a caller, we have a fan calling in right now.
Oh, that's
Oh,
awesome.
Hey.
What's your name? Where are you from?
I am from North Carolina, and I live in Washington, D.C.
What's your name?
Oh, my name is Rob.
Rob, nice to have you
Hey.
calling.
Hey, Rob.
Are you calling
Yeah.
because you want to tell us that we're such idiots and we don't know what we're talking about right now?
Partially, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
give it to us. What's
But
going on?
definitely Artie did call her stupid. You had it right.
Okay.
But she didn't forgive him.
Oh, she never forgave him. And so then they were just
Yeah,
over.
she never forgave him.
Okay.
Did he sing? He sang a song to her, right? It was like this whole big production, and all the guys
Yeah, he
backed him
did.
up. And
Yeah,
Nothing
and
happened.
they made it seem like she was going to forgive him, but then at the end she didn't.
So how do you feel about Santana and Brittany's new relationship?
I really like it. Last year, whenever they did the whole trio with Gwyneth Paltrow, that was like fantastic. That was perfect.
oh yeah.
Yeah, I love that part.
Yeah, definitely. So you see them going somewhere? No heartbreak here?
I don't see it really going anywhere, only because I think Brittany is going to end up breaking up with Santana.
Okay.
Really?
What leads you to believe that?
Santana's, like you said before, Santana's really into it, and Brittany's a little on the lighter side.
Uh-huh.
I think it's not going to work out.
Okay.
Oh,
Wow.
so sad. As long as Brittany's not getting her heart broken, though, because I can't deal with that.
But Santana, like, I feel like
I know.
she's
And
so strong to have that happen.
I totally agree. And I didn't put this in predictions because I'm not exactly sure about it because I've read different things. But supposedly Santana is coming out to her family relatively soon.
Yeah, I've read that as well.
Wow.
What?
But I'm not exactly sure when. And in some sort of I kissed a girl scene,
Yeah.
she's coming out.
Yes, I'm so looking forward to that.
So we can look forward to that. Well, caller, thank you so much for calling. I hope you call again
Thank you.
next week or anytime that we're saying something wrong.
Me, I love you. Talk to you later.
Nice
Thanks,
to talk
Rob.
to you. Okay, so moving on to a different set of people. The whole candidate situation between Sue and Bert. What's going on here?
I am into this.
I'm into this. I'm feeling it. So now we've got Sue's corner and Bert's not corner, whatever his rest of the town. And what's going on here? How long is this going to play out for? And we like the storyline. Why?
I like it because I feel like Bert's the first person who I think he's rattled Sue. He really put her in her place this week. And he's forced her to up her game, which we saw at the end that she's coming at him with a whole new angle now that he's really shook her up. So it's exciting. It's always exciting to see Sue put down a little bit because she's so domineering and she's so intense and she's so over the top, and it seems like she is almost this insurmountable obstacle. Like, you can never really beat Sue Sylvester. So it's so exciting to see somebody really stepping up to the plate who really wants to take her down.
Does it bother you guys that every time we kind of think Sue's coming around,
That
she
flips
does
right
the
back.
180?
Yes.
It bothers
does.
you?
It does, because it's sort of that thing, you watch TV and you want characters that you like to grow and to become different things. And so when you watch those moments where Sue has the lighter side when she's with her sister, or these moments when she actually reflects on what she's doing and she sort of steps back, they're great because you feel like that's real. That's what people are really doing.
Yeah.
She's not so much a cartoon anymore, but she's a real person. And then a couple weeks later, when she's right back to where she was, it sort of feels false and sort of feels like
we've been cheated.
yeah, what was last week? What was the point of that then? Just to appease us for an hour and then...
That's exactly how I feel. Sue doesn't have an arc. She's a circle.
Right.
She just goes and goes.
All the time.
She's basically, she's not so much a character as she is a plot device. She's put in when she's necessary, but there's no growth to her because they always pull her right back to the archetype villain that she is.
But could Bert beating her be the thing that really keeps her down and changes who she is, do we think?
No.
No.
I don't
think
Glee
she's gonna
will
always be a
ever-
circle.
Yeah. I don't think Glee, she's such a breakout, like the character that Sue is and the way that people love that character, I don't think that Glee can ever let her change because there's that element that would be missing. So it's like a double-edged sword. It's like you want her to grow because that's what people should do. But at the same time, she's funny and you want that snark and that would go away.
Totally.
So it's hard. It's like a hard thing to judge.
What would Glee be without Sue's jokes?
It's hard
and
because there are some episodes when Sue is not involved that you almost don't miss her sometimes because you're like, oh, she's so uninvolved with everything that's going on. Where there are episodes
Well, you don't
when
think
she's
about her, you mean?
right.
You don't think about it,
She's not around and you're like, oh, I didn't realize Sue wasn't there because she's really no part unless she's just coming around and being nasty. So it's
And flipping
difficult
over
to-
pianos and stuff.
lighting them on fire.
Well, another thing about Sue's character that I've kind of been thinking about is Glee almost in the sense has written this almost to the point of a Dr. Seuss book. If you look at How the Grinch Stole Christmas, it wasn't hard to get the Grinch's character to fully arc and turn. You know, it was one simple thing, and I think that's we've seen glimpses of it within Sue, but I think it's almost so easy to we see how it will. You know, we see with Sue's sister, and there are ways of
softening her. Right.
And I think that in the end, when Glee is almost over, there will be a full arc. It won't just be a circle,
Right.
but it's like I said, Dr. Seuss there's always going to be a story, but we keep throwing the Grinch in there because we need that character to cause some sort of...
Exactly, and I do think that the only way that Sue can, if she softens to remain that way, is for the show to introduce a new villain who is a constant villain.
Exactly, because
to
if
replace her.
Definitely, because if the show just ends, if the way it ends is with Sue being better, and then the show ends the final episode of all Glee shows, I won't feel confident that she's going to stay that way because of her history. Of course, you just assume in your head, oh, and then a week from now it'll be different. But it was really interesting to me that I didn't want to understand where she was coming from, but in this week's episode, I did for a second when she came in and she said, "Do you guys know that the first thing that gets cut is special needs program?
Right.
And we don't have one of them at this school." That's a completely valid point.
It's completely valid.
That's completely valid.
But
it wasn't just her crap that she was
But
spewing.
that wasn't her argument until she was forced to have one.
Yes.
So it was sort of a thing. It was like when she started this, that wasn't her argument, but it's totally valid, but she didn't need it until she needed it.
But that being said, she does have a special connection with special needs.
Exactly.
So I do think that we could see a lot of emotions playing into there, and that it really is a good angle to go from.
It is.
But it makes me annoyed as a viewer because now
Who do you root for?
Now
Because
I'm rooting for arts over special needs. Like, I don't want to feel like the villain.
No, you're rooting for Bert that. Well, I'm assuming that you're rooting for Bert, but you're rooting for Bert that wants everyone to win. Like
Yeah, but not everyone can win. It's just the way it is. There's not an endless supply of money.
No, but Sue is using what, $2,000 or $4,000 a month
on pom-poms?
Everyone can win.
I don't understand though. Is cheerleading not part of the arts? It's part of
that's sports.
Part of the sports.
Yeah.
Okay, because not where I come from. It's more of an artsy, dancey movement than athletic. I don't know. Anyway, though, okay, so she is in the wrong totally still then?
Here's the thing.
Help me out.
I get where Mia's coming from, that her Cheerios budget can be scaled back to both accommodate the arts and special needs. But if, as the end of this episode alluded to, that now Sue's argument is going to be that money needs to go towards special needs instead of the arts because the arts are taking it, then that's sort of where you're choosing, like, okay, do I want special needs or do I want the arts? Because it seems like that's the argument that's going to be put between us now.
Definitely.
And I think that's the point of it, because now you're sort of like, okay, now who do I root for? Because both of those things are so necessary.
That's what I'm saying, and I think this is a really good thing because it happens in school systems all the time where you run out of money and you have a certain amount of money and you have to choose how you deviate it, and that sucks. How can you take away from art? How can you take away from special needs? They're two very necessary places, and most of the country, I think, would. I actually don't know. How do we think most people would argue?
I'm like, don't let me get started in this, because my argument to all of these things, because I'm a public school education girl. Like, that's
same.
All the way up until I went to college and I went to a private school. And in my opinion, always with healthcare and everything else, a lot of problems can be solved if we start taxing all those billionaires that exist, the 1% or the 2% in the world that has all this wealth. If their taxes just raised from 15% to what is ours, 35%, just like everyone else is being taxed, that will free up a lot of money that can go and help a lot of schools, programs, etc.
I think though what's interesting is my mom has worked for school districts for years and years, and
so
as a teacher.
No, she works like at the district offices.
Oh, okay.
But I actually special needs, special education, I think is actually funding that can't be cut when there's budget issues. So I think that Glee's taking some liberties because that's like protected.
No, I know that's
like special education. I think is firmly protected.
No, I know that at my high school they just cut 10 of the special education teachers because we had budget cuts. 10 of them gone.
Wow.
But that's in Massachusetts, so I don't know what it's like in other states. But I don't think it's countrywide. I think it goes by even
because usually that's
school district.
Things like the arts will go before special education.
Yeah, they cut more arts teachers, but they cut across the board. And I mean, when you have to make cuts, it's hard. It's hard to choose. But okay.
And now they got really happy. We're just like, whoa.
This is Glee, guys. We gotta be smiling here. Let's move to a more sexy, romantic part of the show.
Yes.
Or possibly vile.
Kind of creepy.
So awkward.
We have this whole Puck Shelby incident. But before we get there, we have the Quinn Puck planting of the bad objects for child Beth, wanting to get people to come in there and Beth taken away, social services, to come in and take Beth away so that they can have her in your dreams, but okay.
Would never happen.
What do we think? I think that we all were sitting here, what the hell's Quinn doing? What is she doing? And then finally she gives this kind of monologue to Puck saying, listen, everybody else is going to get out of this town. If this is the last thing I do, if this is the last thing I have, I will get my daughter back, and that will be my life.
Right.
But how do you feel?
She keeps saying this, like that was her wanting to hold on to Finn. You know, everyone's gonna do this. Me and you aren't going anywhere. Let's be homecoming king and queen, and this is our lives. Blah 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 blah. Quinn needs to figure out. You know,
Quinn is a 17-year-old girl who needs to grow up.
Yeah.
Is the problem with Quinn. I mean, at this point, I'm beyond, like, irritated with the character.
Yeah?
Beyond.
Like, she is... I feel like this is, like, indefensible. Like, the no monologue made up for what she tried to do to Shelby.
100%. It was... I felt like they put it in there to try to have us sympathize with her, and I was sitting there thinking...
We've heard the argument so many times from her in so many different ways to try and make what she's done... sort of acceptable.
Yeah.
That's her fallback argument. I don't have anything and you have things. So don't go so hard on me. She's acting like a baby and she really needs to grow up, and I think that that's what I want to see this season out of Quinn, is finally accept responsibility. Like, you had a kid, you didn't want it, you gave it up. Sorry, like, you chose, that's your choice, and you made it. Now you have to deal with it.
So where do you want her to see her go, though? Specifically, like, you want her to get a job? Do you want her to move out of town?
I want her to figure out some direction that doesn't involve ruining other people's lives.
Yeah.
Whatever direction that is. But everything that she has thought will be her direction is at the expense of somebody else, which is not a mature thing for any person to do.
Right.
And so I think right now what I want to see this season is for her to accept a little responsibility and become mature and find something that's hers without having to take it from somebody else. Because that's all she does. For her to be okay, it's for somebody else to not be.
100%.
Yeah.
I agree with everything you're saying. But I also want a moment where she finally faces whatever it is that's triggering this.
Yeah, there's something there that I don't think any of us know yet.
And I want to know what it goes back to, whether it's her family, her childhood being the fat kid with glasses.
Right.
Like, I'm really curious.
We do know a little bit about her history, like what you just mentioned, and with her family, getting kicked out of her house, what kind of Christian background she comes from, but not enough so that we can say, oh, this is justifiable, or oh, I feel like you've dealt with this and you can move on.
Right.
So I totally agree with that. But anyway, so she goes to plan all this stuff. Puck kind of goes along with it, but then after talking to Shelby and Shelby recommending him for this job and whatever it is, has a change of heart, goes to visit her at the apartment, starts stashing all the things that social services could conceive as bad, and then they have this moment and they kiss.
Right.
For me, it all happened very fast.
Right.
There wasn't much of a lead up.
Before the kiss, I was like, oh, this is great. Puck is showing some maturity.
Yes.
He's becoming an adult. He's not playing these games anymore. He realizes how wrong this is. And he's stopping it. He's not going to let Quinn go ahead with this. And then this creepy, flirty thing goes on, and then I'm pulled back.
The only thing that kind of foreshadowed it a little for me was the cougar monologue.
Yeah.
That I actually originally thought was a commercial, and then for like some pool thing, and I was like, oh yeah, this is Puck. We haven't seen this Puck in a really long time.
With his sprayed on abs.
Yeah, with his sprayed on abs. Any comment on that? I don't know. You're still hot in my book though. Anyway, so we see this cougar monologue, and I'm like, well, I know in last week we saw scenes from next week where they look a little, they're holding hands, but it wasn't enough for me. It wasn't enough of a build-up. It wasn't realistic enough. I needed another episode.
Yes.
Another episode of them flirting to see the kiss.
Yeah.
Yeah, I needed more of
fast.
Yeah, I needed more of Puck being, the man of the house that she was missing.
Yeah.
Right, he just came and sang a song, and then she's like, oh.
Exactly. Were there any fans out there that we think were watching this and were like, yeah, that's a good idea?
I would hope not.
Like, damn, yes, that would make a good couple.
Well, I mean, the only thing that I can say also is, the last episode when we were together before the break, there was that moment when he came to the house when he wanted to, there was a little foreshadowing last time because you remember when she wanted them to be able to spend time with her, but they had to do it on Shelby's terms. And Puck actually came and was there, and there was some glances between the two of them then. So I guess that was sort of, but having 3 weeks in between, all of that was lost.
You lost it.
The build-up was lost, exactly.
I don't think that Glee took into account the 3-week hiatus.
Yeah.
Because there was a lot of stuff I feel like if I had watched these episodes back to back,
it would have felt more not as quick
realistic and more more flowy. But instead it was all this abrupt crap that I was like, whoa, what's going on? And then I look down, I look up, and they're making out.
Yeah, it's hard when Fox has the World Series and that airs because we lose momentum on everything.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Okay, so I think we can move on to this big finale of New Directions versus the Trouble Tones.
Yeah.
Yes.
How do we feel about the name?
I like the name. I thought
it
was clever. It's a cute based on the treble tone, the treble clef.
Before we get to Trouble Tones, we hear Free Beer.
Oh, right.
What were the
Hot
other?
messes.
Hot bitches.
Hot bitches.
Hot messes, hot bitches, and free beer.
Yeah.
All three valid names. I don't know. I could have picked any of those over Trouble Tones.
Now presenting free beer.
No.
Now
Everybody,
presenting.
dude, that would get a crowd.
Yeah.
If you just hung posters.
Come
Friday
see
night,
free beer.
Standing
beer,
ovation
free beer.
instantly.
No, you don't put in the come see. It's just a big free beer thing. That's awesome. No, okay, but we see a couple songs from them. Or no, we see
Just
that one
one.
song.
Just
That
the
one
one.
song, which was killer.
Great. Yeah.
It was
I
so
think
good.
my
What a
favorite
threesome that
number.
was.
Yes.
What do we think about this girl, Sugar? Is
Yeah.
she gonna end up being able to sing?
No.
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 But I loved that Santana finally put her in her place because,
Yeah.
since we've been introduced to Sugar, she was very obviously meant to be annoying, but I think she was almost too annoying to the point of where it wasn't that funny. And you're like, okay, this girl is just beyond awful, and I don't really want to watch her on TV.
Yeah.
But finally, to see Santana come in and put her in her place and be like, look, you're not good. You're not going to run this just because you have money. Step back. I was like, okay, thank you.
And the girl's like, I just want to be on a winning team. And it's like, okay, I understand that. Now shut up and sing quietly in the back and nod your head.
So
maybe she can dance.
She danced
Yeah,
all
she
right.
danced.
in
Yeah,
the
maybe-
number. She
Yeah,
was
but
in
maybe
the-
she's
she was
like
with
a mic.
I couldn't even really watch her. I was so focused on the trio. I'm really excited.
They
about
looked hot.
Yeah.
That was some serious hot bitches, hot messes, free beer shit going on there. I was into it. So we're going to see more of that.
Yes, I
I'm
really
excited.
hope so.
How do they pull other girls in?
I don't really want them to.
And why isn't all girls?
Yeah, I don't know why why they decided, because I think that was Miss Corcoran. That was Shelby's idea, was to do an all-girls choir.
Was
or
it?
maybe that was just because Sugar was the only girl, so they were calling it an all-girls.
Oh, right.
I'm not sure.
We have one member and it's
Yeah,
a girl,
and
so
it's
it's an
all
all-girls
girls.
choir.
I was confused where those other 3 dancers came from when there was nobody else in the group.
Oh, but they do that all the
Amazing.
time with the regular Glee
Yeah,
Club. There's
they
always-
They never address the band members and the
Or
dancers.
the fact that all of a sudden the Cheerios are dancing with them. And
Yeah.
like, oh,
Yes,
they like them
and the
now
football
for this-
players.
Yeah,
for this
all of a
summer?
sudden it's like, okay.
But I'm excited about them, and I'm excited to see. It was exciting when Finn and Will and Mr. Shu were in there, and they realized that this is actually some serious competition.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. And besides Last Friday Night, which was another good song we heard, this was the only other song that really got us going, and we were like bobbing our heads, singing
Yeah.
along.
Well, I really did appreciate Puck's song.
Yeah,
I didn't-
Foreigner.
Yeah,
Been
it
waiting
was.
for a
It
girl.
was
Yeah,
sweet.
I thought it was
nice.
totally sweet, but I mean, these songs were upbeat and,
Yes.
and got us grooving. I wasn't bobbing my head to Puck's song.
Oh,
although-
no.
although I thought it was sweet. Just as a complete side note about the Last Friday Night song, I was really disappointed that they stuck the song in somewhere that there was no party or anything.
There's
that
no partying. There was like no actual choreography. Like
Yeah.
I wanted that to be more of a production. When I heard that they were gonna do that,
I either
song.
wanted it to be more of a production or more candid at
party
somebody's
or
party, a
something.
house party.
Yeah.
When I heard they were doing that song, I was like, great, we're going to get some Glee
Who's gonna
drinking
have
again.
another
Who's having a party? Because we saw one of those and a
then
little
no
bit.
more.
Come
Yeah.
on, what's the deal with the
Yeah.
anti-partying? But I think that pretty much covers the episode, and we can skip to a commercial, and then we can go into our news and gossip, which we have a lot of this week.
Yes.
Sounds good.
The biggest new media platform on the web just got bigger. More bandwidth, smoother streaming, lightning fast download.
Don't get technical with me.
AfterBuzz TV is making the jump to hyperspace. Join the fun at your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Look at the size of that thing.
AfterBuzz TV.
Okay, DJ Jesse Jamie.
Hey, kids. Buzz.
Hey.
He just wanted to say hi to you guys.
Aw,
Appreciate it.
He loves you guys.
Aw.
All right, so let's get into some news and gossip.
Let's do it.
Okay.
AfterBuzz TV News.
All right, so is Taylor Lautner dating Glee star Diana Agron? Well, that is the latest rumor going around the net. Twilight's Taylor Lautner was seen on what appeared to be a date with Diana last weekend in Venice, California. According to reports, they talked through the whole date and seemed to be very friendly with each other. Afterwards, they both signed autographs for fans who noticed their presence in the restaurant. There have also been reports, however, that they were not alone during dinner. According to reporters, they were accompanied by what appeared to be agents. So were they on a date with bodyguards present, or were they talking business? No one knows for sure at this time. According to Hollywood Life source, the two had some chemistry, even if they weren't on an official date. They seem to have great chemistry. I think they would be an amazing on-screen couple, and said Hollywood Life source.
Isn't she a little old for him? How old is she in comparison to him?
Probably a 5-year gap, maybe.
Really?
That's interesting.
Maybe not.
I think she's like 24.
20.
How old is he?
Is he 21 yet even?
No, I was gonna say I think she's a little older than that. I think she's 20, 26.
Oh,
I don't know. But maybe there's less than that. Either way, they're good looking.
They
But
are.
I'm telling you, I have this really weird thing with I need people of the same hair color to be with a person of the same hair color. What? It's like a bizarre thing. I've said it before. Like I need it's a really weird thing. Like I don't care about religion or skin color or height or whatever when I'm matching people up. They gotta have the same hair color.
All right.
Weird
Wow,
thing.
that is very interesting.
I don't know.
All right, so
Bizarre. Wait until I have my first blonde boyfriend. You guys will all throw it in my face.
Yes, absolutely.
on Saturday, October 29th, Matthew Morrison hosted his second annual Bingo Halloween Bash at LA's hotspot, Voyeur. Matthew, who was dressed as Roger Rabbit along with girlfriend model Renee Quinte, dressed as Jessica Rabbit. Was also celebrating his 33rd birthday with his Glee castmates Diana Agron, Mark Salling, Darren Criss, Kevin McHale, Harry Sheen Jr., Naya Rivera, Jenna Ushkowitz, Amber Riley, and Chris Cole.
Does this mean they're all friends, do you think?
I think they are. I think they're all pretty friendly, besides
you gotta look up pictures to this because they look damn good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jessica Rabbit, that's a sexy costume. I'm coming for you next year. I've got 360.
You'll be Roger Rabbit.
Hell yeah. There we go, boo.
Alright, earlier this season we learned that Chris Colfer and Darren Criss on-screen romance was heading into some trouble once the boys returned to Dalton Academy for a visit. While the prospect of seeing the Warblers again gave us delightful tingles, we learned that there is a new boy in a blue blazer who has eyes for Blaine Anderson. On first glance, and is ready to fight to nab him away from Kurt's loving arms.
Oh.
Meet Grant Gustin, the handsome young man who will make a play for Blaine's affection as Dalton Academy Warbler Sebastian.
He is cute.
He is
Yeah, I
cute.
saw for sure.
Wah, wah. What do we do?
I don't know.
How do we protect Kurt?
I have faith in their relationship, but I am looking forward to see the.
Yeah.
Yeah, they need to mix it up a little bit because there hasn't been any drama there so far.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is something that we want to happen, but then we want it to be killed.
Yes.
Okay.
And I'm also
Happy
excited
ending.
to see some more Warbler music.
Oh,
Me
yeah.
too.
They rock it.
And I've been kind of bummed that that was taken away.
And they got some hot guys there. Some eye candy.
So the father of a little side note, the father of Glee star Charisse Pengo, who plays Sunshine, has been stabbed to death with an ice pick at a grocery store in the Philippines. Ricky Pengo was reportedly drunk on Monday night when he brushed up against another man shopping in San Pedro. The man became very angry and stabbed the 40-year-old in the back and chest. He died at the scene, the Daily Mail reports. The 19-year-old television star took to her Twitter to thank fans for their support and apologized for pulling out for the upcoming concert in Singapore. She also tweeted about how much she cared for her father, even though they had a strange relationship. I loved him, and I will still love him. He's still my dad after all.
That's awful.
Yeah,
It was so randomly tragic because I read that they didn't know, like, there was no, like, history between these two men. They didn't know each other. There was nothing. He just touched him, and the guy went nuts and stabbed him to death. Like,
with a
terrifying.
what's it say, with an ice?
With an ice pick in a grocery store? Like,
that's like the scariest reality. Like, just crazy.
There's just crazy people out there. And this poor girl who probably now is sitting there being like, well, I wish I had called my, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It sucks
So
when you don't have that close of a relationship even. And maybe she hadn't talked to him for a while. And now that's horrible. That's horrible.
Sad. Very sad.
We're sorry here. At
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert!
All right, in an interview with TV Guide, Jane Lynch has revealed the secret of why her character on Glee, Sue Sylvester, is so opposed to the Glee Club, the musical theater in general. According to the interview, the background to Sue Sylvester's distaste for musical theater will be revealed in a flashback on the upcoming November 15th episode. During the show, the Glee Club will be performing their West Side Story show. It is then that Sylvester reveals that at one time she too had Broadway dreams of her own. The episode will then flash back to a time when Sue was a 16-year-old belter in high school who was performing the title song from the musical Oklahoma. Unfortunately for Sylvester, her dreams were quickly crushed when a cool critic gave her a negative review. Her little heart was broken, Lynch says in an interview, and Will tells Sue, poor little Susie Sylvester was told she wasn't good enough, and now she's going to punish the whole world? Like a lot of angry people out there, Sue's a wannabe.
Interesting, because I guess you never know why somebody's such a bitch.
Right.
To put it nicely. Yeah, I could see that. So what was it, November 15th?
Yes.
Yeah.
2 weeks.
I'm looking forward to seeing little 16-year-olds.
They've already cast her, obviously. I mean, they already announced her name, though, so I want to go
would
look
just
up.
love if it was actually Jane Lynch.
Yeah.
In a long wig.
Oh, yes.
That would have been awesome. Little pigtails.
Right? Yeah.
In Oklahoma. That's
Still,
awesome.
like, giant, as tall as Jane Lynch is.
I wish they did that.
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert!
Alright, so Leah Michelle and Corey Monteith are going all the way, and Leah spilled all about their sexy scenes this weekend. They were definitely hot, but not in the way you were probably thinking. He was sweating so much, Leah said. I was so grossed out. So what got Corey so hot and bothered? They had to shoot the sex scenes in front of a fireplace. Oh my god, it was way awkward. I adore Corey, he's like my brother. And to have to do some of the stuff we did in front of our entire crew, it's so less sexy than you think. She said, really, we were in a room with like 20 people sitting around us by a fireplace. But Leah says she's happy with the results of their racy shoot and that her character losing her virginity has been a long time coming. I saw some photos and I was like, damn, we look good. As a fan of the show, it's something I wanted to see for a while, and it's very interesting how everything plays out.
Yeah, let's just hope that while we're watching, we're not thinking in our heads, ew.
Sweaty.
I know. Sweaty, yeah.
Super gross.
I want to love that scene, and now we might have spoiled it for everybody. I'm sorry, guys. Maybe I'll not include information like that in the future.
Anymore.
Oh. And
That's your news and gossip for Glee.
Awesome.
The week of November 1st, 2011.
Some good ones.
Yeah.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
It's still gets me.
you love the spooky. Well, it is Halloween right now, so it's fitting. It's just the rest of the year when we have music like that I wonder, why are we trying to scare everybody so much? Okay, so I guess predictions can be a scary thing. I think we kind of predicted a lot through the show by accident because we always do that. But a couple things that we see, we just talked about in News and Gossip. Rachel and Finn, sexy time.
Right.
Blaine and Kurt,
Maybe
sexy time. Maybe. The scenes from next week kept saying, "Are you ready?"
Yeah.
And we see Finn turn to Rachel while he's on top of her and say, "Why now?"
Awkward moment
So
to
why
ask
now?
that, but yeah.
First of all, if any guy asked me that, I'd be like, "Oh, you're right. Why now? Toss him off me." But why now? What is time about this? Are they in a competition? Does one need to lose it before the other?
Right. I mean, what's so interesting to me is it sort of almost mirrors that episode in season 1 where there was like 3 couples who all were about to lose their virginity.
Yeah.
Where you had Finn with Santana, and Rachel with Jesse, and Will with Emma with Emma. So it's interesting that we're back there again, where it's multiple couples on the verge of losing their virginity.
And I think remember when Rachel almost slept with Puck, and then there was I think there was another couple. Yeah.
But there was that episode because it was the Madonna episode in season 1 when they all sang like a virgin, and Puck was the only one who actually went through with it. Rachel and Emma didn't. But so I think it's interesting that it's sort of mirroring that. I think though now that they're seniors, it's a little more timely. I think it's realistic that a lot of teenagers in their senior year grapple with whether to lose their virginity or not. I think it's a realistic
prior to college, you mean?
Right. I think it's a realistic time frame. I like to see that addressed, and that Glee's not avoiding the fact that actually happens in the real world and to sugarcoat it, because some parents freak out when their kids see people on TV losing their virginity.
Yeah, definitely.
But I think I'm excited. I think it's realistic, and it'll be interesting to see where it goes.
Yeah.
I was just trying to remember what you were talking about, and I actually remember it was Rachel who said she lost her virginity, and then Finn who said he didn't,
lied,
but he actually
it was with
did.
Santana.
Yeah.
I
Right.
didn't want anyone to know.
Right. So yeah, sorry, that was just a side note, but I also think that it is a very realistic time. A lot of people, just because it's when their bodies are ready, and a lot of people because they're thinking, oh my God, I'm going to college and I can't be a virgin, and
or maybe I'm going to college and he's not.
Yeah.
And he's not, and this is the right person, and this is the only time. So
well, in the case, I think of like Blaine and Kurt, they've been together for a while now, and they're in love, and I think that it's just a natural step that people who are in love take.
What about Rachel and Finn?
That one I think is
less.
Their love is silly to me sometimes because they're both just so silly. But
silly love's not a bad thing.
No, it's not. It's not.
Okay, so we're not in disapproval of either of these things.
No, not at all.
So what else are we seeing next week? Any other predictions with the whole Puck and
I feel like
Shelby
that
situation?
Definitely has to be addressed.
Yeah,
they cannot ignore that. That's how we basically end the episode, is seeing that kiss.
Is the next thing we see her slapping him in the face, or is the next thing we see them in bed together?
I hope not, because obviously this is going to destroy Shelby's life.
Yes.
If this will. I mean, there's no way. She's a teacher at the school. He's a student. I know that Puck is 18, but still, like, she'll lose her job no matter what because he's a student there.
Do we feel like maybe somehow Quinn planted a camera there or something?
Oh.
Or something?
I hope not, but I think that Quinn...
not.
I don't think Quinn has a camera there, but I could see him telling Quinn stupidly and Quinn using that.
Yes. And that was as soon as they kissed, all I could think about was, they're going to lose Beth.
Yeah, it's going to lose Beth. And
she's going to, but it's possible.
Yeah, and beyond that, she's the coach of our new favorite Trouble Tones, who will have to be broken up if she gets fired. And we'll lose all of that tension too. So I'm scared for where this is going.
Yeah, and with as far as Trouble Tones and New Directions go, are we merging back into one, or are we splitting for good? And by for good, I mean for a few episodes.
I think for a few episodes we'll split. I think by season's end it'll definitely be back to New Directions, because I don't think Shelby's going to be around for very long.
Okay. And long-term predictions, we've got 2 elections still going on. What do we think?
Pro Bert.
I'm excited to see more of that. I want to see this Bert and Sue thing.
And are we over the school election?
I'm not over it because we barely even saw it.
Yeah.
We didn't really see it this time.
How about as far as Artie and, just to be as racist as the show, the Asians go? What's going on? Are we going to see anything?
They were really relegated to the sidelines this week.
Really relegated, yeah.
I mean, Mike got so much attention before the break.
That's true.
Which I think is maybe it wouldn't have felt so weird if this episode had come right after that. Again, going back to how we waited for 3 weeks, and so we almost forgot what happened last time.
Artie too, because he was the whole casting director.
They were main plot points of the last episode. So if we watched them together, it would have made sense. But this week it felt jarring because they just weren't there at all almost.
Okay.
But I do think they'll be. I mean, now that the musical's back on, they'll both be back in the fray because the musical's going to have to happen. And Artie and Mike are both so involved in that. So they'll be back.
What songs do we even have left from this musical?
From the musical?
I can't even think of. Well,
Maria. No one's actually sung Maria yet.
Oh, that's
Tonight,
true. They
Tonight.
talked about it. Yeah, okay. So we've got a couple we can still say. West Side Story is so good.
It is so good.
There's probably a lot of people out there getting sick of it, but luckily I love the musical.
It's a classic.
Okay, so anybody other predictions?
Oh, I don't have any predictions per se. I just want to say I want Glee to go back to more songs. I want more
songs
range.
at the top of the show.
Yes, like the first
17 minutes without a song. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I want more solos from the Glee cast. The new guy got 2 songs this episode.
I was pissed that Santana didn't get a solo this episode. The whole thing was about.
The whole point of her was to get one, and then in Candyman, she didn't even.
She didn't have a solo.
No.
And we have seen Mercedes in so many solos.
Right.
Even though I love her in solos, I wanted Mercedes to have one too. Why did this new guy get 2 solos and Santana didn't get one?
Exactly.
What the hell happened there?
I would love to see another solo by her.
So are we predicting we're going to, or are we just hoping that happens?
I hope so, or else it's a silly plot point for her to be so upset about.
I agree. Anything from Emma?
Oh, Emma.
Oh, Emma. Oh, and I think that's going to wrap up the show. Okay, that's about all predictions. Take us out of here, Jesse. Thank you very much. And thank you to our caller. Anybody who wants to call in next week, absolutely do so. We'd love to hear from you guys. Western, Pacific. That's something like that. I always say Eastern Standard because I'm on the East Coast, but that's not what it is. So, yeah, or usually we're like 2 minutes late, but no more than that. So, watch us next week. Call in. Let us know what you guys are thinking. Yeah, see you then.
From producers Kevin Undergaro and Phil Svitek, engineer DJ Jesse Janity, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. If you have questions or comments, be sure to buzz us at info@AfterBuzzTV.com. And you can find us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter by searching for AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.